Good evening and welcome. So yeah, 7 p.m. This is a test, just to see. I don't know. Like I said, everything is a test with me. So a lot of people said 8 o'clock. Some said 2 o'clock. I want to see what happens at 7 o'clock. And what better opportunity to try than as we go? Everything's a learning experience. But yeah, welcome to you. Thank you for joining. I've seen some crazy happenings on the scene the last few weeks. But before I go any further, and this is going to be the last time that I do ask, guys, if you are subscribed, if you have been from the beginning, please get in touch so I can give you your codes and sort of allocate you into the VIP status for what's to come. And I may not elaborate on all of those things. I have put the 9 phases out there because, people aren't willing to collaborate. They'll rather steal your ideas and run with it as if it's their own, and you'll just hear I out of all of them, even if it's 5 of them standing next to each other. So they can't even work as a team, as a true team. But either way, yeah, get in touch with me, DM me, my number's in the description. Send me, your ideally at least where you are, which province, so which track you're close to. Your YouTube account, because I can only see about 271 of you, 280 thereabouts. So I can only reward those, but I can't even reward those because some of them are obscure, like user 95x323571, and there's a picture of enemy character, and I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So yeah, it's allocated, but to a specific person, not the dam. And a lot of people have been asking me, what is all of this about? And I think I've covered it quite a bit, so I'll just go over it again. I didn't know this whole thing could be monetized. A subscriber told me about it, a very loyal subscriber. He's been supporting since day one, and he's been pushing me as well to get into other platforms, so that's coming. But it has to happen on my terms, not on the provider or the platform's terms, because that's just limiting. So, with him making that statement, I said to myself, well, if that's what it's going to take, then I might as well reward the first 1,000. And as you know, last year we hit that milestone, and then I said, well, I'm happy to reward the first 2,000. At the end of the day, this is not about me, it's about all of us. But the fact that it can benefit all of us is one of the key things here. I've spoken about it over this series itself in terms of what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what I've subjected myself to, if you will. And I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. I can't say there's a single thing that I regret. Wrongs were done. I'm human, but I have not made a mistake. And a lot of people don't understand that, and we'll delve into that as time goes. And that's kind of why I say, 1 October, I'm calling it, and I'm saying if you're not interested in your VIP code, that's perfectly fine by me. I'll give it away to someone who is. And at the end of the day, it sounds rude and it sounds ugly, but it is what it is. Do not come crying to me when you've missed out. So there are many of you who have gotten in touch with me, and some of you that I have responded to and said, yes, I've allocated your contact to show that you must get a code. Some of you I have sent your codes. And if you haven't received a notification or anything like that from me, or you just want to check, you're more than welcome to send me a DM. But I'll caution you to spam me, because as it stands now, I don't even know how many thousands of messages that are unread in individual chats in groups, in communities, and now with this whole channel as well on WhatsApp, it's a complete mess in a good way. But yeah, as I said, 1 October is looming, and that's when I cut off, I move on. Because there are 9 other phases within this initiative that needs to start seeing some action. And I suppose this podcast is about discussing that a bit. And as you can hear, I am in my mobile studio listening to the rain and the wind. And it's actually quite calming. But yeah, a lot of you also don't understand me in the sense that I don't tolerate BS. And that can be from whoever. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's WPMC. I don't care if it's MSA. I don't care if it's WAMSA. I don't care if it's City of Cape Town, Western Cape Government, the DA, ANC, whoever. I don't care if you're friend or family or an enemy. I only aim to be civil. But that civility is easily tested when there's naargheid. And I don't really want to get into that because I think I've covered that a lot. And, giving these issues and people airtime actually serves no purpose. Highlighting it, however, is important. So they mustn't forget that they will see their gat. It's inevitable. So, from 1 October, I'm going to be doing a few things. Maybe wrong. That's up for debate. But given I really don't want to use expletives, but it's going to convey the message so much better. Given the bullshit the last few weeks, just in our race fraternity, as Officer Bosman, I think it is, mentioned, and I was quite pleased to hear that he didn't say, the illegal street races. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a carte blanche segment that came out last week and Sunday. And it had everyone riled up on Monday. I think I was also in 1 or 2 lives with people discussing it and adding their 5 cents. And I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Do I have the solutions to all the problems? Yes. Have I been giving it out over the last few years? Yes. It's evident in what you have seen, occur. That's the word I'm looking for. Transpire. I don't know. But it's been interesting to see it play out. And I must thank those. And it's across the board, from the smallest creator to the most popular publishers, and everyone in between. I don't know what the end goal is there. I know what my end goals are with this, and that is for all of us to benefit. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of people using that, community upliftment, social development as a selling point to convince people to buy in. And I'm here to say, at the end of the day, I'm not going to lick anyone's hole. I don't care who you are. I have the solution to the problems, and I alone will implement them, because only I have the integrity to do what I promise. I don't need to think it. I don't need to wonder. I don't need to believe, with a little bit of doubt. I know. That is evident throughout my entire professional career, inside and outside of motorsport. Not that I've been paid to be involved in motorsport, but in the general sense of actually doing it. I have my own goals for what I would like to achieve. Um, in what, you know, the old way that I understand classing and drags and classing within circuit and all these other things. And if and when that happens, it'll happen. I mean, I made decisions to go this route instead of pursuing what I should have in 2020, 2021. And I don't regret a single moment. I'm not going to stand here and complain and moan and cry about, this is so hard, and guys, you have no idea how much it costs. And I mean, I still get annoyed when these people choose to do something. They choose to create content, and then they bitch and moan about it. Then I just switch off. So I mean, we've been fortunate enough to have some really good racing in the last few years, and I'll say that came to an end pretty much last year, given the shit show this year. And I honestly don't care if people want to suddenly just not engage with me. At the end of the day, the ones going about their business and not bringing emotion into it are probably the ones with integrity. And the ones hiding in plain sight, scrambling to get onto TV shows and shows to, try and clear the mess that they've created for themselves and for everyone else. Those are the ones that we need to worry about. And they're hiding in plain sight. It's so interesting to see. I mean, here I am going to bed every night, waking up every morning. Awesome. Having an awesome time. And all I can think about is the people suffering in general. So to that end, from 1 October, you're probably going to hear and see less of me at tracks. I've got important things to focus on. And it doesn't mean I'm going to ignore this channel and its whole aim and point. But I think, as I've said, live streaming is going to have to wait until all the bullshit is out of the way. I mean, I don't want to be going around the country live streaming insane solo runs and drag PBs. Those things are great. Be the fastest Mark 1 Golf with a Kleenex bucky in your left rear windscreen and a red, knob on the driver's side that you lock and unlock your door with. Those kinds of cuck records. I mean, we've lost drag racing, and all the ones that are gonna shout the loudest and mitch and moan like little girls in their social circles and little boys in kindergarten, go ahead. It really doesn't make a difference to me. I'm just calling a spade and calling it how I've seen it and how I am seeing it. And that's in part another reason why I just don't want to get involved. I've covered this before, I really just wanted to host events for races. And COVID was perfect for that. And it was maybe not derailed, because eventually City came around, tickled my balls. But it was a typical City approach to things. An oppressive approach. You can't this and you can't that. But if I can't, then why can you? As we've seen. And if you don't know, where have you been the last 3 years? And I can't deal with the bullshit, man. To that end, I'm going to be focusing strictly street. That's where it's going to be. And what that means is up for debate and up for interpretation. It is what it is. At the end of the day, if I want to race, I want to race. I don't want to sit and wait for a date that suits a particular organization or party or the facility because it's a multidisciplinary facility. And we all know what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about tracks that provide drag racing. And all of you out there, I love all of you. At WPMC, at Killarney, at Desi, KZN Drag Racing, at Aldo, AMSC, at Midval. But at the end of the day, our sport, the sport that I'm focusing on, has to wait for an opening. And obviously that is then dependent on the weather and the time of the year and so many other factors. And I mean, we've seen it before where, last year, in fact, where Drag National Round 1 was over the Easter weekend. And the only ones that lost out there was, well, in fact, everyone lost out there. Everyone. Every single stakeholder within motorsport lost out. And I'm going to use I a lot because it's literally just me. There is no team behind me because I haven't yet found anyone or groups of people who are hard working. I've found a few who are willing and I'm happy to give them a chance. So that's a good sign. But to date, I haven't really come across anyone. And no one can say I didn't ask. I've been putting it out there for a while now, for close to a year, if not longer. If anybody wants to get on board and collaborate, let's do so. Hardly anybody came on board. And that's fine by me. I mean, the last few years are testament to me doing it man alone. Packing in extra towels because by the time I'm sitting up in the morning, I'm wet from the sweat. I'm not there for a modeling show. I'm not there to look pretty with my hair gelled and my kafie sorted and my clean shave and, wearing my brand name and all of these things. I'm not there to model. I was there to enjoy my sport and I was there to share it with everyone. The money making wasn't a consideration because a hell of a lot of people came up to me. Yo, how much money are you making with this? They just don't get it. And I mean, that's just how they think, That's just who they are. Content creators and non-content creators, just random public members. That's kind of the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And yeah, as I was saying, 1 October is when I start making all the other moves. I mean, of all the 9 phases, there are about 3 or 4 that can happen side by side. It's part promoting races. It's part promoting venues, organizers, promoters. And I mean, don't get me wrong, some of you have given me bullshit excuses for simple questions. Questions demand answers, not further questions and bullshit. And over the coming months, I'm going to mention names because I really don't care. At the end of the day, none of this affects me. None. I mean, I stopped racing in 2009. And from 2009 till when I got back, I was happily enjoying my cars on the road. I was happily enjoying the open road. Didn't really get hectic finds, but I got some very interesting finds. And it was all testament. All of it was me just gathering information so that I can understand the bigger picture. Because that's how I look at things. Not a lot of people can match me for that mindset and that way of thinking. People are more interested in eavesdropping, and people are more interested in being nosy without reason. People are more interested in seeing how things will benefit them, and the gears operate very slowly. And if you're taking offense to this, then there's truth in what I'm saying. Bottom line, it's water over ducks back to me. Um, so I don't know. If people want to act like little emotional children, then they must. Then they must. There's nothing I can do about that. So therefore, I don't stress about it. It's beyond my control. So my life is easy. And that's probably the biggest thing that people want to know from me. How do you do all of this? Because I don't stress about bullshit. I mean, I can easily get to the point and right then and there turn around and leave. I don't have this fear of missing out, this FOMO. But I do kind of live my life like that concept of YOLO. I'm fucking rhyming here. I mean, I can't say through the good and the bad, through the right and the wrong, that I can look back and I'm upset with where I am in this moment in time today here as I sit. I can't say that. When I sit and really think about it, the things I've been through, I'm sure a lot of people have been through. And I mean, I sometimes look at all of these things and I tell myself, what a waste of time. Life is simple. And so 1 October, I'm going to simplify my life even more. Because this has complicated it over the last few years. And rightfully so. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was doing. I still don't. Half the terms a content creator was telling me on Saturday at the Gymkhana. Half the terms he was talking about, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. I'm happy to learn, but you're going to have to take a step back and explain what that means to me. I don't know. And some of the stuff I spoke to other people like, no, but you're doing it. And I was like, well, I have no idea what it is I'm doing. I mean, there's so many people, my family as well, that will get worked up like you won't believe, because I have a deadline. I see the time frame. If something comes up, it's beyond my control. What must I do? There is no point in me stressing. It is what it is. And if someone doesn't see that, I'll fight for it. But everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in its own time. I mean, everyone is like, yeah, you must do this and you'll get all these subscribers. I'm happier going the old school route, ignoring all of this technology and going old school and favoring quality over quantity. And I know the implications of that. I understand it. I'm starting to understand it. And I'm fine with it. But it's bothering everyone else so much. And, it's a similar thing with drag racing. And there's a theme here. I mean, it's happened in at least 2 provinces where we have massive issues. Nobody wants to talk about it. Few people wreck their beak about it. Then when we say, let's discuss it, no one comes. And when we say no one, we're exaggerating because, the numbers are small. And I'd like to think we made some progress this year with numbers, here in the Western Cape at least. And we've had a few challenges to overcome. But I need to start focusing on the other 8 sections of this whole plan. I mean, there's a lot of tracks that have asked me to come down and do a live stream, and I would love to. And thank you for that offer. I just need to figure out when that's actually going to be possible. And that's actually only going to be viable if I can find teams of people who are willing, who are passionate about this, preferably more passionate than me about this. I mean, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I'm passionate about people. I'm not passionate about videography and content creation. And maybe it's something I can learn to love. But we all know how that editing is going for me. I'm still editing from 2021. I don't think that'll ever be done. I mean, I might have to give that to someone to do. So yeah, this is pretty much a ramble tonight. It should have been at 11, but I postponed it to 4, I think, and I postponed it to 7. And yeah, again with this, when I did one in the beginning of the year, I didn't quite know what sort of direction it should take, what it should encompass. And I messaged a few people who have subsequently run with the ideas. Great. So I can see if it's actually viable. And they're still not doing what I want to do. So maybe just plug in the concepts that I had over and above what they are doing, and then see where to from there. It's clear that content is wanted, it's needed. What style and type of content, I have my ideas. These cinematic videos and all of those kinds of things. There's a lot of learning I'm going to have to do if I'm going to even try that. But it will be a lot easier for me to get someone who's interested and passionate about it and say, this is what I want. Put that into the content and produce something. And ideally, I'd love to pay them for it. In the beginning, it may turn out to be a volunteering kind of thing, but it's hard because people will say anything to get on board. Some people. And then there's just, no delivery. Or there's a half approach because they want to focus on their things. And, I'm trying to say that if we can agree to something and compromise, and we can stick to that, then, that can work. But the problem is human nature. And that's why I say, it's really hard. And I've said before, I think I said last week, it was really touching for me to see so many people that I didn't even know come up to me and offer to help to set up and offer to help to take down. And some of them took offense when I declined the offer because I said, this is the kind of thing that I need to be able to do myself. If I'm man alone, I must do it myself. If there's a team of 3, they must do it. The eagerness, though, is appreciated. The offer is appreciated. And hopefully some of those people didn't take offense, and they just understand my argument and my point. I'm not afraid of work. I'm not someone that shies away from work. And it's going to be hard to find not necessarily people who are like me, but people who have the same approach to work and the same work ethic. That's all I'm really looking for. And I mean, we'll see. This whole thing that I've been talking about with the VIP codes. I mean, in a nutshell, what it is, and I'll just call it up here. The codes, like I said, is for those that have been subscribed. And, the first 1,000, they essentially get the highest tier VIP access. Where 1,000 to 2,000, I'm on the fence there. Although I may end up giving the same because obviously I didn't achieve the goal of getting the first 1,000 to actually respond. Quite a few people did. So those all have their codes. And essentially what it entails is, I mean, I'm working on a few venues to host my own events. And the VIP access entitles you to free access to those. You know, if I can come to agreements with other venues or other operators and tracks, and I have been engaging with them over the last few years, then whatever discount is passed over to me will get passed over to you as a VIP member. You know, and that's just a thank you, because this whole thing would not have been possible without those first few thousand clicking subscribe. And there are those that unsubscribed, and for whatever reasons, the ones that unsubscribe for naargheid, I just hope they're gone. Honestly, I could really, really wish that those just unsubscribe and leave. And you know, someone else that's more deserving will benefit from their code. So yeah, you know, that's free access to my events, and then access to a VIP area. And at tracks, if there are VIP areas that can be set up, and I can arrange that, and it's viable with those operators and owners, then the same will be, you know, at those venues. The idea was obviously also to align with either MSA or WAMSA, and given the current situation, I don't even think I need to worry or want to worry with that, to be honest. And if people want to be spiteful about it and, you know, do things in spite of themselves, it's going to turn out very ugly for them. That's all I can say. It's a guarantee, really. I mean, you know, to this day, I don't see where there's been any development. Real development. Not this tokenness. You know, we've got a few faces of color here, and they bought their way in, or maybe wanted to earn their way in. But we've still got this sense of elitism, and that's something we discussed not very well last week. But I mean, you know, all of these things aren't scripted. I would really be losing my mind if I had to script this kind of thing, because then we can decide to put all the positive and nice things in and avoid real issues and topics. So I would much rather take this format. You know, the VIP codes would include things like stickers. I mean, everyone loves stickers, I suppose. But I would love to include, you know, a branded shirt with your name. So no one can argue if you forget your identification that you belong there as a VIP member. You know, things like that. And then, of course, you know, a YouTube membership as well. So, I mean, all these things have been active on my channel for a very long time. But trying to figure out how to put them in play is a bit tough, because it kind of needs buy-in from every stakeholder. You know, if I go and canvas for sponsorships to be able to go around and do live streams, I don't want to be going to an event where we're just watching cars doing single runs. I mean, at least I don't want to. And maybe that's wrong of me. Maybe that's what you guys want to see. I don't know. You know, this whole thing was very much, well, let me try this. I mean, I had no real specifics here when I wanted to host events and say, okay, well, only races, maybe a crew, otherwise I'll provide a crew, no spectators. you guys can watch from home, because at that time I was aware of TikTok lives. And it was just annoying because people come to the track with their battery half charged and then, oh, my battery's going to die, poof, there the live goes. And I was like, well, I'm sure it can be done on YouTube, and I'm obviously sure it can be done on TikTok, so someone can handle that. And then I was like, well, maybe I should handle it because I know how annoyed I get watching some lives where people are begging for likes and taps and hearts and, guilting the viewers into doing things because, they standing there for you and, it's cold and forever moaning. That's all I ever heard, moaning. And from there, moving on to just interacting and meeting, Cass and team and just trying unsuccessfully to do a live stream was the beginnings of something that I never imagined would grow to this, and something that I know can grow into the billions, with time. And maybe that needs me to do this full time. That's something I've been considering for a while now. But, I need to, on my side, do a lot of work and, chase up those supporters and sponsors and those that want brand exposure. And yeah, I'm going to say it again, whoever had that opportunity or whoever came to me and, oh yeah, we must talk, and you haven't spoken. So you've just wasted your own time and mine and everyone else's. I'm not interested. And that may be me being spiteful, but, those people just wanted to benefit. They didn't see the bigger picture. They probably still don't. I could quote so many things and I don't really feel like quoting from famous sayings and cliched sayings, but they still reign true to this day. So, I am happy to chug along until I can set things straight or put them back on track. And if I can find suitable partners that can see the vision, that are in it for the sport, really and truly for the sport, not just for their own personal gain and for their brand's gain, then great. Because I've shared so much and tried to structure it so fairly, but no one's willing to communicate. Everybody wants to see, and for what, only they know. How it helps them, only they know. It doesn't help at all, because all the meat and bones of it is still with me. It's fairly simple, and I would much rather not deal with those kinds of people than have to sit and explain and break it into puzzle pieces that's easily digestible. You either do or you don't see the vision, and then let's engage. But people come with these agendas, and they're skeptical, so they want to know what's the end game. The end game is that we all benefit if it's a sport that we love, and it's not going to be 65 million of us in this country. Some of you have said there's 6.5 million motorsport supporters. Maybe. But within drags, I even think 650,000 is a stretch. It's possible. And if all of those are interested in racing, hopefully one day they get the opportunity. Hopefully I can provide them the opportunity, if nobody else wants to. Because it doesn't seem like anybody else wants to. We're so self-absorbed, and we don't focus on others. We just want to focus on ourselves. I would agree there are times where we need to be selfish. I'm a selfish person. I have no problem saying that, because I have to be happy, and then I can make others happy. That to me is logical. I won't say it's common sense, but that to me is logical. It's pointless you are unhappy and you are trying to make everyone else happy. That to me doesn't make any sense. There's only one life, live it. I mean, that's a Land Rover accepted saying by Land Rover members again. So we need to move on. Whoever wants their code, get in touch. If you don't want, I'm giving it away. I mean, that was a rundown of some of the benefits, and I say some because I don't even know what it is I want to give. There may be more. There may be more. I mean, I don't need much to survive. None of us do. But the way some of us go on, we don't deserve. We don't deserve what we want. You know what I mean? With saying that, my worth is a very different story. People want to pay nothing for a lot. And that's subjective, that's debatable, that can be discussed. Every scenario can be dealt with individually. But I'm not going to tolerate someone screw me over for the sake of their benefit. It's a different story if all of us are in the same pool and we are all struggling along and working along to a greater goal, and we are all going to benefit. But there's people that want to come along and they benefit and you are oppressed or you get held behind. I can't deal with that BS. And I mean, these codes also apply to races. I mean, there's quite a few races that have gotten codes, and I said, you know what, you are in the first 1,000, so for my events, you'll be comped to race. And if you can't race, nominate someone else, and they'll be comped to race. And I mean, I'm going to find it so funny if some of the things that I've said here end up being realized. That's always the case. And for the greater good, let it happen. At the end of the day, I know where I'm heading with this. And for all of those thieves out there that want to take and run with it and claim it as their own, go ahead. At the end of the day, my conscience is clear. I have no qualms about that. And the eventual plan is to be able to say, here's a handful of deserving races, and we're going to get carriers and take these cars up all over South Africa and race. I mean, that's been done before, to some degree. It's been done before. But has it been done on merit? And I can tell you now, no one really has a clear idea or picture about how that's going to go down, because we have no measurements. We've just got guys running, and then, like someone stupidly said in a video that I watched today, for the podium. We reached a podium by times. We didn't race for those podium places. And I mean, yes, it is possible to properly race 15 and 10-second cars. Maybe not at some of the venues we have, because they are graded to a certain degree and they are unsafe for that. So to screw everyone, they run events that suit them so that they get the most out of it, the most revenue out of it, but some other, if not the rest of the stakeholders, suffer. I mean, I've tolerated a lot the last few years because some people said, why don't you give this one opportunity? Why don't you focus on this location and venue? And I would, suggest you go and ask those people first and then come back to me with what they say, and then I'll tell you if they're bullshitting you or if it's the truth. Because I guarantee you no one is willing to be open, honest, transparent about the bullshit that some of them have DM'd me, or that some of them have been dumb enough to put in groups. So, yeah, I mean, for those of you that want to run with this and paint a different narrative, go ahead. I mean, I'm just going to stare at you and go, okay, so what have you achieved? 5 seconds of fame? You've made up some hype, and then tomorrow you want to cry when shit goes down and gets real. And then I'm still going to be standing here shrugging my shoulders going, okay, next. So, I mean, I always have a lot of things that I'm busy with. And, with silly season approaching as well now, in fact, it's been on the go for a few weeks in any case. But with silly season approaching, I've got a lot of things to focus on. And when I have a gap, I'll go and chase those, potential partners. But everyone is so full of bullshit, man. Nobody wants to part with money. Fair. Or is there another reason, or are there other agendas? I mean, I can honestly tell you, it amazes me time after time, day after day, week after week, year after year, how my words rain through. And I make no apologies for it. And then those that suffer want to cry the loudest. But you were warned, man. You were given the rundown. You were given all the information. And you decided to be the stubborn ass. So why you want to cry now? And I mean, it's as I've said before, it's really upsetting and disappointing that there are so many that could be benefiting from this at the very moment, in this instant, that can't because of people's stupidity. And some of them I am tackling. Others aren't worth my efforts and energy. They'll somehow tackle themselves. But we'll forge ahead. You just may not see and hear me at a venue. And if I do go, it's, I go. But don't count on me being there. I mean, the unsanctioned racing is proving to be actual racing. I don't know what this sanctioned bullshit is. And all these cockroaches running about, clamoring to try and set the record straight. I imagine these are the words they use. I haven't watched any of this bullshit. It's been sent to me in DMs, and I'm standing there going, what must I do with this? So I waste my time. I'm just going to die whatever length of time this video is listening to the bullshit. And in some level, I can point the fingers at us and say we've allowed some of these things to happen. Maybe we've lost our way. I mean, I've seen some really stupid statements the last few weeks. The wrong terms being used, the wrong logic, I mean, coming down to simple things like quarter mile. Quarter mile's got F all to do with speed. It's a nice metric. But quarter mile is a race against time, to cover a distance over a time and improve on that time. And yes, that is related to speed, you moron. Whoever you are that wants to argue with me. Just like the morons that come at me with, oh yeah, money. But how can you make a stupid statement? It's not about money. There's money in everything. I didn't say you can't do things without money. You jackass. I'm saying people's priorities are wrong. Like, I mean, what is the point of us having 2 lanes if you just have a solo run? Because people are scared to race the next car. You know, if you just want to race and you know you're going to lose, then lose, but enjoy it. And you know, you'll get a time. Great, so you might actually run your personal best. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying we cannot measure an event by personal bests. I made the statement again the other day. I was like, imagine the entire F1 calendar, the championship was decided by the fastest runs. And it was tabulated by how many people got the fastest lap in each Grand Prix. And someone managed to get 2 fastest laps, so they win the championship. That must be some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Even in a Grand Prix, you race the entire 70 laps, you win the race. You cross that finish line first. You qualified 9th, but you fought your way through to first place. Lap after lap, you finish the race first. But here comes a Dwys who was second and dropped to 18th, but he ran the fastest lap, so he's first place. Where have you heard stupid shit like that? That's the unfortunate reality in drag racing. There is no drag racing anymore. There's just drag PBs and insane solo runs. You know, what are we measuring? We're just measuring speeds and times for individuals. We've lost the race. And I imagine a long time ago, I would say as far back as 2010, 2011, in my mind, this is where it started. And I might even put myself in that same circle, given the fact that we started Street to Strip in 2008. Maybe I'm the root cause of it. That would be hilarious. But that was never the intention. You know, the intention was to give everyone the opportunity. Like today, that project never went away. That project started back then, and it's still the same project that I'm busy with today. It's to give everyone an opportunity. That's what we did in Cape Town. But we just lost sight of the goal because some of us saw money, while others saw potential to develop. And that development never happened. Never. From the arrival to the scrutineering to the racing, the education never happened. And we tried. I know I tried. And there were others with me on the committee who also tried. But all we got was just this brick wall of stupidity. Focusing on things that will benefit them and the organization and the facility instead of actually benefiting the stakeholders within the sport. And it's a shame. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I think last week as well, or in one of my channel posts, this is never going to be an overnight thing. And you know, you've got all those arseholes out there that, I have no idea, want to try and make me look bad, or have tried. I don't know what the point was, and I just ignore. You know, I just mark everyone on my phone as omit, so when I see them typing, I was like, oh, here's some dumb shit coming, leave. Go out and go and focus on something else and come and check back a week later. Maybe it's, you know, whatever. Maybe they feel better about their lives and themselves. It's really sad to see. But like I said last week, or maybe in this week, what have they done for the sport except chase accolades for themselves? So yeah, 1 October, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Going old school, I will demonstrate what it means to go viral in ways that you guys have never understood would be possible. And I'm keen to see, what happens in the next few weeks, because in the last few weeks it was a complete cluster bomb. I'm trying not to swear, and I don't know how you feel about it. The general consensus is anger and frustration, and nothing gets done about it, and it's really disappointing for me to see people being manipulated the way they were. But we fall for the joke. So we can't really claim to be angels in this situation. We fall for the joke as well. Every single time. I'm not going to be someone to put my name and my brand and align with that kind of bullshit. Because then I'll be the bad one as well. So, yeah, things are going to get very real. Like I said, it's silly season coming, and things usually get very silly. So we'll see what transpires. But I have a lot of work I need to do with regards to this project and the other 8 phases. So, I'm going to be putting my head down while I wait for all of my next steps and things to do. I've got a deadline tomorrow for another matter. So that's my next focus. And we'll see. I don't know. The metrics that Google operate to, and they want content providers, content creators are supposed to operate to, doesn't necessarily agree with me. The metrics are wrong. I think I've spoken to some of you about it, I don't even know how many content creators look at their metrics. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't even bother. It's pointless. Because the information is just wrong at the source. So I'm more keen, that's why I said, to just go in that regard, analog, and go back to basics and do it that way. Because currently, to try and make fun enough to make it easier for me to go analog, I've had to go digital. Just to drown out all of the BS and all of the distraction and all of the noise. It's easier that way, so I can focus on the analog. I know a lot of people won't understand what that means, and if you're not meant to, then you won't. And if you do understand, then you might be the person that I'm looking for to collaborate and to work together on this. But I have to stress that I need people who want to work. A lot of people are eager, but they're not transparent about why they're eager, and they have expectations that they don't communicate, and then into it all goes and unravels. So yeah, that is what it is. I have to give everyone a chance. That's fair. I can't form opinions and assumptions or perceptions about someone based on other people's words, because people have evil tongues, evil eyes, evil intent. And yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, if you have been subscribed, I think I'm going to end off there. Make sure you get in touch. And DM me, spam me. If you send me a message now, 10 seconds later, it's probably number 50 in the queue again. It's just one of those things. I responded to a message about 3 weeks ago from last year, and I thought, this guy's gonna be annoyed with me. But I responded, and he was like, "Oh, cool, dude. I've been waiting for you to reply." I was like, "You've been waiting? Why didn't you send me another message? Hey, Dom, did you get this message?" Because it's another thing. I hardly get the messages that some people are intending to send. It's either my phone can't keep up with the rate of messages, or there's something happening between the WhatsApp web interfaces and the WhatsApp interfaces. I don't know. But yeah, if you are listening to this and you have tried to get hold of me, then send another message. I'm not going to apologize for the platform. You know, if you're trying to contact me, then have you done all of them? Have you called, sent an SMS, sent a WhatsApp, sent an email? And have you tried to follow that up? So yeah, we'll see what happens. But come 1 October, there's going to be a whole host of other things I'm going to put in place. I have asked the community on my WhatsApp channel to engage and contribute and participate and steer it in a direction that the majority wants. It is a democracy after all. Demos Kratos. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is not about me. I'm just here because I love the sport. Always have, always will. You know, this is my sport. I'm not a 100-meter sprinter. I'm not a 10K runner. I could be, but I'm not a rugby player. I used to be, but I'm not a cricket player anymore. Motorsport is my sport. And the sooner the structures and systems in public and private sectors understand that, the sooner we can actually grow the sport. Because there's been no growth. And I'm hoping to see growth over the next year or two given the recent developments. But given the fact that there's already division within that development, I don't have much hope for it. I don't have much hope for the majority benefiting, for the actual community benefiting. I just see a few benefiting again. And some of these few are individuals and parties that I've engaged with to say, hey guys, this is what I'm thinking of. Would you like to come on board? And all I can see is they've taken it and run with it. Great, but you effing it up already. And you can see them scrambling for interviews and shows, to host talks, using the same bullshit from years ago. God, we must unite. We must stand together so we can take this to the next professional level. I don't even think they understand their own words. Referring to racing where there technically is no racing, and not referring to racing where they should. And you've got other individuals who are very popular spreading a certain way or mindset about a discipline. Then you've got another faction going a different route, and you've got a third faction going a route that now contradicts all other motorsport and regulatory requirements. So I mean, I'm looking forward to seriously racing on track with no seatbelts and no helmets. That's going to be interesting. Because I'd love to see what it is that these people said collectively, but individually. Because they couldn't even refer to themselves as a team and present a united front as we, but they want us to unite and stand together. We're already united, man. The mere fact that we love cars and bikes and motor vehicles, we are united. Thankfully not man united, but we are united. People united. So yeah, I'll be focusing on strictly street. Whoever wants to now steal that, you can go ahead. I'm still going to go ahead and use it. And we'll see what happens. If you miss out, don't cry. You've had a chance. You've had the opportunity. You know. Wish you all of the best. But yeah, if you couldn't see the vision and you can't see the vision, I can't keep explaining it to you. It's a waste of my time. So hopefully the plans I've put in place occur. If they don't, that's fine by me, because I've always got backup plans and backup plans to those backup plans. But in every single scenario, as I have to keep pointing out, I am not the one suffering. So hopefully I can get something underway so that less can suffer in more ways than one. And I suppose you know my stance by now if you've listened to the other podcasts, and you know my focus. And I focus on, quite simply, needs and wants. And right now there are certain needs that outweigh everything else, effectively rendering everything else a want. So just gotta take the back burner. It is what it is. But yeah, it's movie time. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to see you next time. And we'll see all these changes that I want to try and put in place. We'll see how that materializes. Thanks, guys. Have a good evening further. Have a good week. Enjoy silly season. It's amper tyd. It's amper festive. It's practically festive. So yeah.